I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. Donald Trump just sent an incredibly deranged statement demanding the termination of the United States Constitution. Let me read what he just posted on his social media platform. Donald Trump writes, "So with the revelation of massive and widespread fraud and deception, in working closely with big tech companies, the DNC, and the Democrat Party, do you throw the presidential election result of 2020 out, it's in caps, and declare the rightful winner, also in caps, or do you have a new election, also in caps? A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Our great, quote, founders, not sure why he quotes that, did not want and would not condone false and fraudulent elections." Then election denier and fascist Carrie Lake responds to that as well and says, "Fake news, fake elections, fake government. Time for Americans to demand fair and honest elections so we can right these wrongs. Share if you agree." And then she uses an American flag. "How dare you use an American flag, you fascist?" And then Donald Trump also posts on his social media platform around this time as well. It's a meme and he goes, "Trump was right. Trump won. Biden cheated." He's reposting an account there. And then he writes on a separate post, he goes, "Trump was right again on 2020 election. Most used statement." No, it's not the most used statement. It may be the most used statement by you who post these deranged things over and over again on your social media platform, or your deranged cultists who post it over and over again, but it is definitely not the most used statement, far from it. And what Donald Trump is ostensibly responding to is the fact that on Twitter, Elon Musk, in connection with a number of right-wing extremists, and a post that was prepared by someone named Matt Taibbi, who used to be like a Rolling Stones reporter who took on billionaires. Now he's like an agent and arm of the billionaires. They said, "We are going to post what's called the Twitter files, and the Twitter files are going to show how the Biden administration stopped Twitter from posting all of these things about Hunter Biden." Like, that was their big thing that they were focused on. And the fact that Elon Musk was involved in it is just utterly disgusting and despicable, what he's doing to that platform and just what he has become generally. For someone who's, ostensibly been involved in companies like Tesla and companies like SpaceX that have done impressive things to turn that into this fascist dystopian circus, is just deeply disturbing on so many levels, and everything he's saying is so deeply disturbing. But what they ended up releasing is that sometime before the election of 2020, so before Biden even won the election, the Trump administration and the Biden campaign and the DNC, like any outside entities would send takedown requests to Twitter. And more frequently, according to this post by Matt Taibbi and Elon Musk, which they call the Twitter files, more posts were taken down for the Biden campaign than were taken down for the Trump request. Now, when you actually look, though, at the posts that purportedly that the Biden campaign wanted to take down, or that they had requested, or their agents or other people related to them had requested take down, it was revenge porn of Hunter Biden. Like, the underlying content involved like naked photographs of Hunter Biden that people on the right were trying to post. Like, James Woods, I think, was one of the right-wing people who's trying to post these photos that just show Hunter not wearing his clothing. And so, of course, revenge porn would violate terms of service. And so the big outrage amongst the right-wing, bizarre and deranged and pro-fascist Twitter machine, social media outrage machine, whatever you want to call it, though, but which is the mainstream of the Republican Party, was saying that that shows that the United States government colluded with Twitter. Now, it should be obvious for anybody who takes the most elementary social studies class, although the right wing wants to attack our civic studies. Biden was not the president in October of 2020. So the government was Trump. And Trump was using the government to ask Twitter to take down posts. The Biden campaign, like any private organization that submits takedown requests or any third party that submits takedown requests, is simply making a request. And Twitter is a private enterprise. And so Twitter can say, well, that photograph of someone without their clothes and is something that violates our terms of service. And why are you posting those types of images on our platform? Or they could keep they're a platform. Elon Musk can do what he wants to do with the private platform, and if he wants to turn it into a fascist circus shit show, he can do that. But it's going to have consequences. But the First Amendment of the United States Constitution involves the United States government and the freedom of people's speech not to be arrested, essentially, from the United States government from exercising their freedom of speech. But even in the context of speech as it relates to government intrusions of speech, while any intrusion of the government into free speech should be severely limited, there are some exceptions. So, for example, when someone speaks and yells fire in a crowded theater is just one of the examples that you give, or when someone uses speech to threaten and harass people, it goes from a point of protected speech, and then it could reach a point where it could be dangerous, or it could be criminal when something becomes a threat, when something provokes a riot. And so that balancing test is done with First Amendment analysis. But when it comes to a private actor and the type of speech, if a private company wants to have moderation policies on its platform so that it doesn't become a beacon of hate speech and conspiracy and dangerous views that are actually killing people, a private corporation should have the ability to moderate its platform. That's one of the foundational principles of our country. But that's what Donald Trump is reacting to, apparently. And on that basis, that's one of the reasons that he's now saying that we should, or that he thinks that there should be a termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. I can't stress enough just how dangerous that is. And frankly, that's been echoed, though, and those sentiments are echoed, though, by people like Kevin McCarthy. You know, in Kevin McCarthy's response to the same types of information that was released, he goes, "We're learning in real time how Twitter colluded to silence the truth about Hunter Biden's laptop in the days before the 2020 presidential election. In 32 days, the new House Republican majority will get the answers for the American people and the accountability they deserve." I mean, it's the ultimate projection where what they're saying, though, is that they want to use, the MAGA Republicans want to use the government, frankly, to attack private citizens, to attack private corporations, and to use the structure of the United States government for these ultimate, very dangerous ends. And I mean, when you have somebody like Kevin McCarthy and the MAGA Republican Party beholden to Donald Trump, who's literally calling for the termination of the Constitution, literally fits the definition of seditious conspiracy, something that the Oath Keepers, something that Stewart Rhodes and Kelly Meggs is the Florida leader of the Oath Keepers, and Stewart Rhodes was the overall national leader of the Oath Keepers, were just found guilty of seditious conspiracy in a trial in federal court in Washington, D.C., where the sentence is at least 20 years, and they were found guilty on multiple counts, so probably be serving the rest of their lives in prison. I mean, that's seditious conspiracy right there. And I always go back foundationally to one of the things we talk about a lot on the MeidasTouch network, which is these MAGA Republicans need to be called what they are. And they are radical extremists and fascists. Use those terminology and that terminology to refer to them. Do not call them conservative. There's nothing conservative. It's not a conservative view of what Donald Trump, who is the leader of that party, just espoused, saying that the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, should occur because Twitter allegedly took down nude photographs of a presidential candidate's son who had nothing to do with the presidential candidate in October of 2022. I mean, what are we talking about here? This is so anathema. This is so anti-American. This is so the opposite of what our founding is all about. And when they use the language of our founders, it's the ultimate gaslighting. They are cloaking themselves in the American flag. They are cloaking themselves in the prism of founders, in a history of fighting fascism when they want fascism, when all they are propounding, these MAGA Republicans, is this deeply despotic, dystopian United States of America where we would barely be able to resemble or make out what our country is. I mean, it's really, really sickening and disturbing. So what do we need to do? We need to share videos like this. We need to let people know who are leaving the MAGA Republican Party that there is a broad, pro-normal, pro-democracy coalition. It consists of people who have left the Republican Party because the Republican Party has left them. It consists of independents. It consists of people who are not affiliated with other political parties or any political parties. It consists of Democrats and progressives and people who identify as liberal. It is a big tent coalition where we may disagree on how a policy should be implemented. We may disagree on when a policy should be implemented. But fundamentally, we agree that there should be adult leadership in the room supporting our democracy. Fundamentally, we believe that people should be entitled to real freedoms. A woman should be entitled to the freedom over her body. People should be free to marry who they want to marry, love who they want to love, without a MAGA Republican trying to stop that from happening. We should be talking about issues like education. We should be talking about issues like access to health care and lowering prescription drug prices. We should be talking about things that matter like jobs and how do we make sure that people earn the wages that they deserve. We should be talking about building our nation's infrastructure. We should be talking about those real serious issues. That's what we should be focused on. And that's what this pro-democracy, pro-normal coalition is about, that rejects the modern day Republican Party, which is the MAGA Republican Party that wants to engage in this bizarre fascist, no longer even cosplay fascist, pure fascist circus. And it's upsetting, it's disappointing, but we need to fight for our country. We need to fight for our democracy. We need to stand up for it together. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit the subscribe button. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers here. Thanks to your support. And in addition to hitting the subscribe button, please also consider becoming a patron of the MeidasTouch Network by going to patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We have lots of exclusive content that you can only get on patreon.com/MeidasTouch. But most importantly, it's a way to help grow this independent media platform because we have no outside investors at all. So none of the investors who fund the both sides media, none who fund the pro-fascist media. We're purely crowdfunded. So if you want to become a member wherever you are in the world, check it out. Patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas. Thank you so much for watching.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.